Hello friends, and welcome back to my computer screen. Today is Tuesday, which means that it's time for another Photoshop scrapbooking tutorial. If this is your first time here, hello and welcome. My name is Crystal and I am super excited that you are all here today. Today we are jumping into the second lesson on our layer templates theme. If you guys missed last week, or if you are unfamiliar with the concept of layers or clipping masks within Photoshop or Photoshop Elements, I highly recommend that you go and check out the first lesson, which we did last week. I'll link it up at the eye for you in case you want to go check that out, because you're going to need to know what both of those things are before you jump into this content for today. Today, I am going to give you guys an introduction to layer templates and show you guys how to use them in both Photoshop Creative Cloud and Photoshop Elements. So let's start out by talking about what layer templates are. So a layer template is essentially a pre-made layout or page that you can use to add photos and text to in order to make a very designed, almost editorial looking scrapbook page. Now, these can be used for both digital and hybrid projects, which is super awesome. And the really cool thing about them is that they are already designed for you. You don't have to think about where to place things, or oftentimes you don't even have to think about the title or the story that will need to go with them. They are designed for you. Some of my favorite designers that you can get layer templates from are Ali Edwards in A Creative Bubble. You can also find them at the LilyPad website and also at the Digital Press website. I will put all the links to those down below in case you want to check them out. But you can also totally create layer templates yourself, and I will show you guys how to do this in a later tutorial. For today, we're just going to focus on how to use these pre-designed ones. So I'm going to be using one from Ali and one from In a Creative Bubble in order to show you guys how layer templates work. Now, let's go ahead and get started in showing you guys how to do these, and we will start in the Photoshop Creative Cloud program. So starting within the Photoshop Creative Cloud program, the first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and open up those layer template files. Layer template files are going to be saved as a PSD file. That way, when you open them up within Photoshop, all of the individual layers will open as well. So you will be able to edit each of the layers that's included on that file. A JPEG would open up as just one single layer, so it doesn't work that way. That's why they're PSD files. So I have one from Ali, which is this one. This was part of a December daily pack. And here on the right-hand side in the layers panel, you can see that there are the 5 different layers that make up this template. We've got the background, we've got the space for the photo, which is going to be signified by a colored block. In this case, it's that teal rectangle. Then we've got the holiday home title piece. We've got this piece that says story, and then we've also got the lines are another element on this page. One cool thing with layer templates is that you can also hide elements. So if you don't want the title that says the story, you can click the eyeball and make it go away. Same with like the holiday home, all of it. All of it is editable in that way. Over here, this is a 3x8 layer template that is created from In a Creative Bubble. And in the same way, it has, the background, it's got 5 places for photos, and each of them is located. It says photo here, and you notice that they are a colored block to signify that is where a photo is going to go. And then you've got this Happy Things title down at the bottom, which again, we can hide or we can show depending on if we want to. You can do the same thing with the photos if you want to. It's totally up to you at this point, but those spaces are there for that reason. So next, let's open up some photos so I can show you guys how to insert your photos into these layer templates. So I'm going to go ahead and open up 5 different photos so that I can show you both how to use the one with the 1 picture and also how to use the layer template that had the 5 photos. Let's start with that first one by Ali. The the holiday one. So the first thing I'm going to do is on my photo, I'm going to select all and copy it. And then I am going to go back over to my layer template, make sure that the layer for the photo is the one that I have selected right there. So in this case, it's this teal one, and I am going to paste in my photo. The reason why it's important to make sure that your photo layer, or the rectangle that symbolizes the photo layer, is selected when you are pasting, is because it's going to paste your new layer in right above whatever you have selected. So in this case, right above that photo layer right here. So now that I have the photo directly above the shape space, I'm going to right click on it and select Create Clipping Mask. What this is going to do is it's going to put that photo inside of the that teal rectangle. So if I move it outside of the rectangle, the photo will no longer be seen. Once I have it placed generally where I want it, I can also increase or decrease the size of my photo itself. Once I have it the way I like it, I can just click outside of it and my photo is now inside of that shape. From here, I can do a couple of other edits. I can take away that title if I don't want the title there, and then I've just got my photo. I can also go ahead and add in text boxes if I want. I can just click on the text tool over in the left-hand sidebar and then create text boxes where I want my text to go. Since this one has the lines on the page, I would want my text to be in those individual lines. So to do that, I would just create a text box inside the lines for each what do I want to say? Line? Each space. How about that? So I want a text box in each of those spaces. So that is essentially how I would use that first layer template. Now let's switch over to this one by In a Creative Bubble. So this layer template is going to work much the same as the first. So I'm going to go over to my first photo, select it all, and copy. And then again, I want to make sure I have the layer selected. So with that move tool, which is like the four-sided arrow, I can click on any layer inside of this template here, and it will automatically highlight it inside of the layers panel. Then I can paste in my photo, and it's going to paste right above the section where I want to clip that photo to. Once I get it kind of positioned where I want it, I will go ahead and right click on the photo and select Create Clipping Mask, and it will clip that photo right inside of the square that is designated as the photo. Again, I can increase or decrease the size. In this case, I wanted to decrease it a little bit, adjust it, put it where I want it to go, and then click outside of the photo for it to adjust inside of that square. So we're just going to keep repeating this process with all of the remaining photos. So I'm going to go to the next photo, select all, and copy it, come back over to the clipping mask, make sure I use my move tool to select the square where I want it to clip into, and then we're going to go to the photo, select Create Clipping Mask, and adjust it inside of that square until we get it the way that we want it, and click outside for it to adjust into that square officially. Then we're going to do the same thing again to this third photo. This is one of, me with groceries. And we're going to click on the next square where we want this to go, adjust it, do the Create Clipping Mask right here so that we can see exactly what it's going to look like, adjust it a little bit more, make it smaller, make it bigger, put my feet in the middle of the page, and then click outside for it to adjust into that space. 2 more times. So we've got the next photo right here, which we're going to select all and copy, go back, use the move tool to select the layer that we want and put it in there. So the reason that for this one I am selecting the square using the move tool is because the layers are not always necessarily in a logical order. So it just helps me to know exactly which layer I am putting it on within the layers panel. That way I don't have to toggle between all of them down in that layers panel. It just automatically picks them for me. If I knew which one was which, I could just go to the layers panel and click it from there and paste my photo in, but This way works just as easily for me. So we've got this last one in there. We're going to click outside, and then that is going to complete the layer template for this one. So really simple, and it gives this page just a really nice professional editorial look to it. So that is the essentials of layer templates within Photoshop Creative Cloud. So before we switch over to elements, let me show you guys how I would go about printing these out. So now you can just go ahead and hit the print button, and these will print in the direct middle of an 8.5 by 11 page, or whatever size photo paper it is that you are using. But for me, I like to have more than one thing on an 8.5 by 11 page if I can. So what I just did there is I showed you that if I went and I selected all, copied and pasted it onto another canvas, that 8.5 by 11 canvas, the only thing that's going to paste over there is just the photo. It's not going to bring the whole template in. So what I do when I am printing mine is I will go ahead and merge all of the visible layers together. Once they are all merged into one layer, I can copy the entire thing, so select all and copy, and then I can paste the entire thing onto a new canvas, which for me is 8.5 by 11 because that's the size photo paper that I use. So then you can go back to the original layer template and hit the undo button, and everything will paste over the same, just the same. So that is what I do for this one. So now I've got that one. I've got the 6 by 8 page ready to go. So next let's pull over the smaller 3 by 8 page, which has a lot more layers than the other one. So what I'm showing you here is that you totally can just highlight all of the layers and copy all of the layers and paste all of the layers onto a page. The risk that you run into here is if I were to click off of that image, then I could select each of those individual layers and move them. So you run the risk of potentially moving something where you don't want it to go. So for me, I just find it easier to merge everything down, merge all of the visible things down, copy it and paste it onto the canvas that I want to print it off on, and then just make sure that my original PSD file was saved. If it's not, I can just go back and undo, and all of the layers will be there again, and I save it like that. That way, if I have a typo in my text or something, I can go back and fix it at a later point in time. But for printing purposes, I do just go ahead and merge everything down. Here, I am just going to print off both of them on the same page. So I went ahead and put the 6 by 8 page or whatever layer template onto the 8.5 by 11. And then I also added that 3 by 8 as well. So to change the orientation of this, what I do is with the template or the layer selected that I want to rotate, I will click on it, and then on my keyboard I hit Control T, which I guess would also be Command T. Then at the top in the menu area there is a field that you can fill in that is next to something that looks like an angle. So you can change the percentage of the angle, which I just do 90%, and it puts it perfectly on its side where I can move it and then, have both of these on one sheet that I can print off and cut out, and it just makes things so much easier for me. So just in case you guys wanted to know how I would go about printing these, that's how. And the reason I think it's important for you guys to see this part is just if you are moving that entire canvas, I just want you to know that there are multiple ways that you can move the layer template onto a different sheet, either copying all the layers or copying one layer that's been merged down. So before we move on, one other thing I want to show you guys is just some additional examples of other layer templates, just in case you're interested in seeing what other layer templates look like. Then we'll hop over to Photoshop Elements and I'll show you this exact same tutorial inside of there. So this one is a layer template that's from Ali Edwards. She actually sells them in a pack. So here's a pack of them. I believe that these were the layer templates from 2019's Week in the Life project. So you can see that there are places where you can do full page photos. You can have some where there's like small boxes, some where it looks more like a grid. There are all kinds of options for layer templates and the designs of layer templates within Photoshop. I can also show you some additional examples from In a Creative Bubble. And these are just layer template packs that I have purchased. So it's just to give you some examples of things that I use. But like I said, there are a lot of companies that sell layer templates or packs of layer templates like this. So here is a pack of like everyday type layer template pages from In a Creative Bubble. Now the majority of hers come in either a 3x8 or a 4x8 size, and you can see that there are many different options for how many photos are included, for having space for journaling or not. I'll show you one other example right here. This one is a Christmas themed one. So there are a lot of options for purchasing layer templates, and they are definitely a lot of fun to play with. So now let's go ahead over into Photoshop Elements and let me show you the exact same thing. So how to use the same two layer templates within this program. So inside of Elements, we're going to start much the same way by pulling open the 5 photos that we were working with earlier, as well as the first of the 2 layer templates. So we're just going to start with the Holiday Home layer template from Ali Edwards. So over on the right-hand side, you can see our layers panel where it has all of those 5 layers listed same as before. And you can also see where there's the teal box that designates the photo spot. So we're going to go back over to our photo, and we are going to select all and copy it. And then we are going to go back over to our layer template and paste it in. Much the same as in Photoshop Creative Cloud, we do want to make sure that the photo layer is selected before we paste in our photo. That will make sure that the photo is pasted in right above that photo layer. So then we can go ahead and make whatever adjustments we want, right click and select Create Clipping Mask. And this is going to put that photo right inside of the teal square or rectangle, I guess in this case. Now something that is a little bit different with Elements is if you were to try to resize the image by pulling on the side squares, it will actually distort your picture. It does not increase or decrease by a ratio, or it doesn't keep the same ratio. In order to do that, you will want to pull on the corners instead. So if you grab the corner and you expand or make smaller, enlarge or decrease the size of your photo, it will keep the correct ratios. So just keep that in mind when you are adjusting your photos in here. Another thing you can do is if you want to adjust your photo, when you have your photo layer selected, you can click or you can toggle the Control T or Command T, which by the way, that stands for transform. And then that will bring up those little adjustment boxes that lets you increase or decrease the size of the photo. So next, let's pull open an 8.5 by 11 page so we can go ahead and take this and paste it onto that page. Similar to Creative Cloud, I guess I want to add my text in first. So let's add in some text boxes just for say so. And then we will go ahead and copy this and paste it over onto the page for printing. So similar to Creative Cloud, you can go ahead and copy all of the layers and paste all of the layers over onto the canvas. You can also just print directly from this view right here if you don't mind it just being in the middle. I just don't like to waste photo paper if I don't have to. So for me, the easiest way again is just to go ahead and go to layers and merge the visible layers. You can also select the layers in the layer panel and right click and say merge visible layers as well. It will put everything down and into the one single layer, which makes it easier to copy and paste it. And that is that. So next, let's work on that in a Creative Bubble 3x8 layer template. So same idea as before. We want to make sure that we've got our photo spot selected, then paste in our photo, and then hit Create Clipping Mask, Control T to transform it if the boxes for adjustments don't show up, and then adjust the photo, and then click outside of it for it to adjust into that square the way that you want it to. We're going to keep doing this. So we're going to make sure we select the layer, paste in our photo, right click and create clipping mask, and then adjust it as needed. So, move it and make it smaller or bigger. One of the biggest takeaways I have for you guys in order to make this easier is just to make sure that you have the layer selected that you want to paste your photo, or that you want to clip your photo to, so that it pastes directly above it. If you don't, so if you forget to click the layer where you want your photo to be pasted above, you can always move it by clicking it and dragging it inside of your layer panel in order to get it where you want it to go. It's just so much easier to start with it in the right place than it is to have to find it and move it within your layers panel, especially if you're working with something that has a lot of layers and spaces in it. It just makes life a little bit easier. So that is one of my biggest suggestions. So like here, I totally pasted it in the wrong place. I forgot to click the layer where I wanted it to go. And so, for me, I just deleted it and started over, but I could have moved it in the layers panel too. So now this is the last one. We are all adjusted, and now this layer template is totally filled out and complete. So I will go ahead up to the layers menu and toggle down to merge visible. That's going to make everything reduce down into one single layer that I can then select all and copy, and then I can paste it onto that page where I'm going to print them. So for this one, if you want to rotate it at that 90 degrees with the layer selected, you can go down to the bottom menu, and there will be like a dial with a fields place right below the dial where you can type in 90 for 90% and then hit enter, and that will turn your photo 90 degrees to the right. So it's just a way to get your photo turned around if you want, and then you can adjust it, put it where you want, and this page is ready for print. So that is the basics on how to use layer templates within Photoshop Elements. So as you can see, Elements and Creative Cloud are just super duper similar to each other in that way. I hope that you guys have enjoyed this video, and if you have, make sure you give it a thumbs up down below and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Next week, we are going to be taking this one step further, and I'm going to be showing you guys how to create your own layer templates for scrapbooking purposes. So I hope you will join me then. In the meantime, if you have any questions about the content from today, please leave those down in the comments area down below, and I will do my best to answer you as best I can. And I will also, until next week, I'll have a couple of process videos coming up for you guys as well. So until then, I hope you all have a fantastic day, and I will catch you all in the next video. Bye now.